I'm using the gematria. Let's watch and see how this turns out. The race integration of the races is an instrument of race destruction because it leads to miscegenation, which is interracial sexual mixing. Jews are the ones who planned and organized the integration movement of blacks and whites by blacks soon after the turn of the century. But Jews then and now are the most devout segregationists in the world. They even segregate against other whites. If the other whites would say, "Mr. Jew, you advocate integration with Ethiopians, but why don't you show us how you do it by integrating with them yourself?" If other Caucasians would present their objections this way, liberal Jews would be stuck as the great hypocrites and great deceivers of woolly-haired people that they are. The Caucasian race is a complete opposite and also enemy of the African race. It is unacceptable because according to nature's laws, again I will repeat, nature's laws are universal. Race mixing is not allowed for any race. Even animals have enough damn sense to know not to mix. You won't see a squirrel mixing with a possum or a parrot mixing with a freaking eagle. In the nature books written by Afro Uno, it also tells us that our race, the black race is what I'm focusing on, doesn't have to be shot, hanged, poisoned, whatever these people do to us on a regular basis for our race to be destroyed. You can also do it sexually. That's another way of destroying our race. The thing that causes most of the ills in the world, as we know it, is Dracula, the human vampire. The Caucasian race is Dracula, who lives by the scapegoat doctrine. The satanic scapegoat doctrine maintains that the ghost, the god and spirit of the Caucasian race, must survive by killing the living to obtain their blood, because ghost has no blood, life fluid of its own, and it loves most of all the blood of the woolly-haired people, for theirs is the richest by nature of all blood on the planet. So the dead, the ghost of Dracula, the Caucasian race, creates conditions called captivity and slavery so that it may have victims whom it can conveniently prey upon whenever it needs additional blood for life. I'm going to repeat this. Nature's laws are supreme and universal. Race mixing is a negative, a no-no. Sorcery fits. It's a lot of death, rituals, sacrificing, necromancy. All of this is taking place, and it's keeping the black race in a stupor because the spell has been placed upon our whole race by Leviathan, who rules the spirits. And Leviathan is the Caucasian's god, also known as the moon god, Tahuti, Thoth, etc. Now, these are supposed to be the so-called elites. The 13 families who are controlling, running the world, whatever, however you want to word it. But I know one thing, they ain't race mixing. They don't have no hybrids or no half-breeds all up in their bloodline. And look how it says bloodline for every family. See, you gotta refuse to be used by the negative forces of nature. We're always being used, violated, disrespected, murdered, raped, prisoned. With all the stuff we got going on as a race, why would any of us want to sleep with the enemy? What seems to be best for an individual in our race may not be best for the race. But what is best for the race is always best for the individual. If the bootlickers for Caucasians in our race could understand this law of self-preservation, we would not have traitors in our race called Uncle Toms. Uncle Toms and Aunt Tamamas are people who found an opening and support for what they by nature wanted to do all the time. Working with the opposition or opposite against one's own preservation is punishable by death, according to the universal laws of the opposites. When one puts his selfishness and his self-interest before the survival and well-being of his race, he or she is a traitor and deserves what the laws of nature demand for such crime. Working with the opposition, the opposite, against your own race is below animal state, and that person deserves to be treated so. You see what just happened to Kobe and his daughter. Nature ain't playing no games. Again, I repeat, nature's laws are universal and supreme. The Negro, the mentally dead Ethiopian, wants everybody of other races to like him or her, but this everybody like me road does not lead to liberation and well-being. If someone dislikes you because you want liberation and desire freedom for yourself and your race, that person is your enemy. If anyone hates you because you advocate separation and speak preservation for yourself and your race, that person is your enemy.